Welcome, welcome, everyone. Whew, you were all in that waiting room, ready to go. We're happy to see you here. We'll get officially started in just a sec, but as you are rolling in, oh, you're happy to be here too. Look at all those Zoom reactions. I love it. Um, Feel free to tell us in the chat where you're coming from. You can even tell us like, how's the weather where you are right now? Because we're 100 plus here where I am. So glad this is an earlier webinar for me before I start sweating. Hello, if you're just joining us, welcome in. We'll get started in just a sec, but tell us where you're coming from. Send us some love with those Zoom reactions. I've got lots of California friends in the chat. Hi, everyone. All right. Well, officially welcome to Big Wins in 30 Minutes, Canvas interactivity that's accessible. We've set up this webinar with a bit of a shorter format than some of our other events you may be familiar with, really in hopes to meet busy teams, leaders, and educators where they are. We think limited time need not be a barrier to unlocking big wins in Canvas. So we hope you walk away today inspired and equipped to easily increase learner engagement through interactivity in no time. So with that said, at the end of our session, we'll check in with you for some feedback on this 30-minute format, how you feel about it. But let's get moving because we've only got 30 minutes. So I'm Stephanie Tate, Product Marketing Manager at Cidi Labs, and I'm joined by Natalie Sharp, one of our amazing instructional tools developers. Natalie's wit is as sharp as her last name, so you're in for a treat as she demos our new interactive features in DesignPLUS today. And briefly, just some reminders that, as always, we are recording today's webinar. Yes, we are recording. And you'll receive the link to the recording sometime via email, probably tomorrow. You can feel free as well to use the chat feature throughout the webinar to chat with one another. We love when you're all connecting in that chat. But do make sure your drop-down is set to everyone so that we can all see your messages. Please be sure, though, to submit questions to the Q&A panel so that our team can keep track of them and answer as many as possible throughout the webinar. We've dedicated time at the end to answer some live as well. So again, chat in chat, questions in Q&A. And if this is your first time joining our fun, let me tell you a little bit about Cidi Labs. Cidi Labs was founded out of a partnership with Utah State University, where Kenneth Larson, our co-founder, was working as an instructional designer. And he was given permission to sort of hack Canvas and started making the first iteration of what would later become DesignPLUS. So over the years, though, our team has grown with educators, instructional designers, as well as former customers who are drawn to improving the learning experience for everyone. In total, we have 6 products for Canvas, from accessibility to course lifecycle management. And all of these tools have been developed through partnerships with universities and in partnerships with our customers. So today, we'll be showing off DesignPLUS, our must-have design suite of 3 tools that make creating content for Canvas accessible, affordable, and fun. Those are already 3 big wins, so we're pretty pumped about that. But what is today's big win? It's interactive, engaging learning opportunities for students that are accessible. Yes, you heard that right. And available right where you edit inside Canvas. So we've released a new set of elements for student interaction in DesignPLUS, and we're really excited to show them off today. As a team chock full of learning designers and educators, we know the value of designing learning experiences that engage students and help them monitor their understanding. But we also believe strongly that those learning experiences should be accessible for all. So the team focused all their efforts into building these new interactives to empower your work in delivering inclusive, effective learning opportunities. Now, for anyone who's not familiar with DesignPLUS, I just want to give you a quick overview for context, and then we'll jump right into showcasing these exciting game-changing interactive features. So if you've never seen DesignPLUS, DesignPLUS takes yes, this is a Canvas page. Whoop, there we go. And helps you style it. And kind of the sky's the limit with what you can do, but also very quickly and easily you can apply cohesive styling, interactive elements, visual design, all kinds of amazing stuff with the Cidi Labs DesignPLUS sidebar. And so if you're like, what's the sidebar? Because I said it's right inside Canvas where you're editing. Here's another example of just some of the things you can do. When I hit edit, I have my sidebar launch automatically for me. And it's right here. So it lives right where I'm editing, right inside that Canvas Rich Content Editor. Now, I'm not going to tour the sidebar or any of that right now because Natalie's got to take it away and show us this interactive content, but just giving you that sense. We're talking about interactivity that's right here at your fingertips when you're editing in Canvas. So with that, Natalie, will you take it away?
Yes, I absolutely
If I stop
will.
sharing, you can. Okay.
Cool. Let me go ahead and get this desktop going. Okay, friends. You should be seeing a Canvas screen. If you're not seeing a Canvas screen, please tell me that post-haste. All right, so I am going to show y'all a feature that we're super excited about today, and that is our new student interactives. Now, if you are a DesignPLUS enthusiast and you've got beta tools enabled, it's possible you've already stumbled across these, but we wanted to give you a real example of what some of these features can look like when they're incorporated in your content, and also I'm sure your imaginative minds can come up with rich possibilities for other ways to use these items that we haven't even thought of. So I'm going to scroll down in my lesson here and show you a little bit about where we can find these tools. Let me give you a good refresh there. There we go. Okay. So the first type that we have is an order items type. This is functionally what it sounds like. It is going to allow you to put in a quick self-check for learners. That is a formative assessment, something that's not really related to them getting a grade, but is to allow them to see how they're doing with retaining the information that they're learning in the unit, and to see if there are any gaps. Is there anything that they need to review? What do they want to reflect on further? And really just practicing with knowing how all of the information relates to each other. I'm not going to go deep into the research of why it's useful to put in interactive activities in your content, but I know Stephanie can tell you, and we've definitely had it in a Design Matters newsletter previously. So with this order items one, it's going to allow me to move around the items and put them in the order of when these rights were awarded. That's what the prompt is. You'll also notice down in the bottom we have a timer. So if someone is perhaps preparing for an AP exam and they want to make sure that they can reference this information quickly, or they just want to know how long it takes to work with the content, they have that information for them. They can also shuffle if they need to. And then we have the option to allow you to check yourself. So you'll see in the interface as a student how many items were correct, how many items were incorrect, and then you have the option to try again or to go ahead and view the solution. So there are quite a few options here, and I'll show you what these look like in the sidebar as well. So let me go ahead and move the Zoom window, which is never not in the way. Okay, I'll go ahead and launch my sidebar here. And I'm going to scroll on down and jump to my order items interactive here. So once we're actually in the sidebar, we've got quite a few options to customize how each of these items looks, as well as to enter the correct order. So when you are in the editor, we want to give you as clear a view as possible of what this is going to look like when it's in the live content, though I will also note if you're ever unsure, There is also a preview panel in the sidebar, which is going to transform it so that you can see the live view of what this will look like and play around with it if you need to, just to make sure everything works the way that you would expect. I'm going to draw your attention to a handful of other features here in the style panel, including the ability to outline the controls or not, which can be nice when you're trying to incorporate this into a design on your page that already exists. Maybe you want sort of discrete borders between your interactive content and the sort of learning content, or all of your content blocks have borders. Up to you. I don't judge. You also have the option to hide the solution button if you want to. So if you want your learners to have to go back in and actually find the answers and self-check themselves, that is an option that you have as well. And then we've got that basic color picker, which is going to allow you to quickly move through and customize some of the styling of how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen just so we've got a little more screen real estate. For my longtime DesignPLUS users, y'all are likely familiar with the feature in Quick Checks, which allows you to hide the next button when students navigate to a page that contains a quick check from the modules. We have also added that feature for these student interactives because we know that people love it. And we wanted to make sure that you have the ability to at least strongly encourage folks to complete those interactives before proceeding to the next piece of content in the unit. So you will have the option to hide that next button until all of the interactives on the page are completed. And note that this setting is going to apply for these new student interactives as well as any quick checks that you may have on the page. All right, so this is just one of the types that we have currently. There are actually another 3, which I find tremendously exciting. We came up with a plan earlier in the year that we were like, you know what? We want to make some new student interactives available, so we really put our noses to the grindstone and we're able to put these out far faster than I thought we would be able to. I'm actually super proud of my team and to be a part of it. Going to go ahead and make this speaker window a little smaller because it's still in the way. And now I'll tell you about the next type. So this is our sort items type, and it's going to give you the option to sort items into their respective categories. So in this case, I've got a bunch of movement songs, and I want my learners to sort them into the movements with which they are most closely associated. And so I can come into my pool here. I don't know what like the collective noun for a bunch of buckets is. So we were like, pool, it's full of water. That works. But I can come into my pool and I can see all of the buckets that I have here. If I need to add another one, I can. So maybe I'm thinking, oh, let's talk about women's right to work and some of the songs that might be associated with that movement. Or if I don't need that, I can go ahead and delete this item. And if this interface looks familiar to any of you who are currently DesignPLUS users, that's because it is very similar to the interface that you'll see in our columns tool or in our expander and accordions tools. A lot of these tools that we want to make sure are still just as easy to use. Another cool feature here is the ability to change the item type. So within my pool, I have buckets. Within my buckets, I have items. And for my items, I can determine if I want them to be images instead, or if I want them to be images with captions. Really finding ways to make this a lot more engaging for my learners as they're going through and trying to complete these activities. Just because you have to do it before you can proceed doesn't mean it has to be boring. Beyond that, I also have this option to set things like the bucket color. So if I want to make that a lot prettier, a lot more visually appealing to, again, maintain that interest, that is an option I have. I can determine the location of the answer bank, which transforms in the live content. And I can set things like the image text location if I desire to do so. And again, we've got that preview panel available so that I can practice moving these items and make sure that everything works the way that I want it to work. The other types we have include flashcards, which are what they sound like, but they are going to allow you to do things like setting that color, and also you have some options with which side of the card is shown, whether students get to shuffle the cards or not, and then the way that they check their answers. So do they input the answer on the flashcard or do they self-check? You have the option to hide the solution from students if you so choose. Again, you'll also see that we have that hide next option available. And we've got our terms here in the preview so that you can type out what is the vocabulary definition that we learned in this unit. And finally, the last type that we've got available is the fill in the blank type. Again, this is what it sounds like. It's going to be familiar to anyone who's ever had to take a class or teach a thing. And this one is probably the most straightforward, but it's going to allow you to put in the answers for whatever body of text you have. So in a number of cases, you might do like the sentence thing, and then there's a blank in the middle of the sentence. You fill it in there. In this case, I decided to use this to have my learners go ahead and fill in the speaker of each quote. And if I want to see what that looks like, I believe in you, preview panel. All right. Occasionally things don't love us and cooperate, but I will show you this on the saved page. So I'll go ahead and do that. And let's see if I can go ahead and share from my phone, because it is important to me to actually show this to you on mobile. I think it is pretty critical that we make sure that our content looks just as good on the mobile devices as it does on your desktop screen or on a laptop screen. We know that many of our learners are using their phones as their primary place where they are accessing Canvas, accessing their content, and doing what they need to do. So
They're reading minds. We've had some questions in the
okay, good.
chat and in the Q&A. Surprise. Yes, these are mobile friendly. And yes, we'll get into some more about the accessibility in just a sec. You got this, Natalie.
Yeah, thank you. And I will try and speed it up, by the way. It's 30 minutes, so I've got to make it quick. Okay, I am going to stop sharing here for just a moment. All right, Zoom, this is your moment to shine. Okay. Cool. We'll give this just a moment to load. All right, so when I am here in the mobile app, I've got all my learning content. It's always fun to refresh the page, really my favorite thing. I believe in you.
Always have to talk some sweet nothings to the technology in
Right?
a live event.
I believe in you. Thank
Everyone
you
in
so
the
much.
audience has been here. They're we know.
Okay, cool. So now I'm down to my order items interactive, and this is going to work in a pretty similar way to allow you to do that dragging and dropping. But also, and I'll show you this in the sort items interactive, that ability to tap an item. Let me tap you. I love it when things don't go the way that you intend for them to go. Okay. I'll pause here on the mobile share because these are features that are like important to me that I do want to show to you, but I want this to be an effective use of our time also. So give me one sec. I apologize that I wasn't able to show you on my phone there, but that's also the great thing about a beta tool is that it gives you an opportunity to work out some of those kinks where you want to make sure that everything is working exactly the way that you expect it to. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is keyboard accessibility. So it is possible to go ahead and navigate through and select the items because we don't want to just rely on that dragging and dropping as the only way that we move between our items. Okay, so I can tap the item and then click somewhere in order to drop it instead of having to sort of retain that movement from one place to another. I can also tab through to select an item and use my keyboard to move it. So I can use space to select it and move that down, and then use space to drop it again. And that is accessibility that we have endeavored to build into all of these interactives. Again, I'll note that because they function a little bit differently, if you encounter a situation where one is not moving the way that you would expect it to, and especially for our folks who are primarily keyboard users, we want to know that so that we can do a better job of making sure that everything works well and works across platforms. One moment. Oh, coffee, never more welcome. Okay. The last thing that I'll note for you is how you can enable these features so that you can try them out yourself if you don't yet know how to do so. I am going to go ahead and edit my page here. Let it feel its feelings, and I'll launch the sidebar. So I am going to hop on over to my user settings. First, I'll select the kebab menu near the upper right corner, select user settings from the dropdown, scroll down just a bit, and there is an Enable Beta Tools option. It should be second to last in your settings. You'll just want that checked in order to see these tools. And then when I go back to the ad page, you'll see that they have a beta label on them. So if you're not sure if that's the tool, that is how you can go ahead and turn those on, dive in, and see what you can build. And particularly for folks who love the design side of things, if you go in and you build something that you absolutely love, you are also welcome to submit those items to the DesignPLUS library. I'm not going to go into depth about that today, but if you know, you know. And if you don't know, ask us. We'll tell you. Okay. I'll stop my share for now.
Natalie.
I think
Thank
that's all the thing.
you. And you know what? I love it. You were getting so much love in chat and through reactions from everyone who knows what it's like to play around with your tech when it's not being as cooperative as you hope, or when you're just being as dynamic as you were, hopping into edit and going onto mobile, like OMG. If you ask some of those questions that you're asking right now in the chat in the Q&A, we can be sure to connect you with the resources and the answers that you need. We will have, I think, like a couple quick minutes for questions at the end. But just to recap, because that was a lot of awesomeness, and I know you have more questions. And again, this is just the quick showcase of these big wins, right? But it is very exciting to see all the new possibilities for encouraging student self-assessment and increasing engagement and reinforcing that learning, as you mentioned, Natalie, using DesignPLUS, right? And having it all right there where you're editing in Canvas. And remember, this is so cool because course designers and educators can do this without having to write any code or have some external tools that they're like pushing back and forth. And without those worries about accessibility. So huge. And so these new features definitely offer big wins for instructors and for students alike, which is amazing. Natalie, do you want to highlight a little bit of what's coming? Because we had some questions about this as well.
Yes, absolutely. So in addition to the features that you already see, we are also finding ways to anonymously track the student activity of these tools. By way of reminder, we don't store student data. We don't ever want to be in the business of doing that in DesignPLUS. So this will be a feature that allows you to look at sort of performance trends and to see where folks are struggling in your class versus where they're really excelling. We intend to add more configuration options. Those are both styling and functionality options. Obviously, the first pass at something has to be great, but we always want to add more. We're pretty ambitious folks around here. The addition of AI assistants that can help you summarize your content into an interactive. So maybe you've got some content on the page there and you're like, I know it's in there, but I'm tired and I'm going to need a little help to make this into a good piece of interactive content. And finally, we are looking into some new interactive types. I know that we've asked about this in a couple of customer meetings, and y'all have given us some really excellent feedback about what you'd like to see next. And for our longtime DesignPLUS enthusiasts, no, we have not forgotten about new quick check question types. That is also in our little bag of tricks to come.
So exciting. Well, and if today's interactive showcase has you inspired and you're looking for more tips and ideas for actually implementing this kind of interactivity in your Canvas courses, be sure to check out our Design Matters Digest blog content and the accompanying webinar that we did, Interactive Course Design Made Simple. Now, we did that webinar prior to these new student interactives, but we cover the research-backed strategies for really effectively using interactivity throughout your course. Because spoiler alert, just having interactivity doesn't make it good course design. And so we talk through how to increase engagement and promote learner reflection without overwhelming or frustrating your learners. And if you're just like research nerd with me, feel free to check out our entire lineup of Accessibility Matters webinars as well on our website at cidilabs.com/webinars. And right now, just quickly as we're transitioning into the last few minutes with questions, if you have any feedback about the format for this, the 30 mins, just kind of getting you a little sweet preview of something. If you liked it, great. Any other like negative feedback, we welcome all feedback. Whatever you've got, tell us in the chat. We're happy to hear. And as a reminder, if you want to learn more about any of these, or if you don't have DesignPLUS and you're like, excuse me, I can do that in Canvas. Yes, you can. Be sure to schedule a time to chat with us and to get a demo for yourself, because we'd love to give you these big wins. All right, I think we have 3 minutes for questions. Jennifer, if you want to queue anything up for us.
Okay, well, there were a lot of questions about how I can see these features, and I think you mostly covered that, Natalie, but just to remind everyone, these are in beta now. And in DesignPLUS in the sidebar, you need to go up to your user settings and make sure that beta tools are enabled. It's a per user setting, and then you will see them and they'll have a little beta flag on them. So I just wanted to make sure. And there were a lot of questions about when will they be out of beta. I think, Natalie, we anticipate sometime next month, right? We typically leave them in beta for at least a month just to work out any kinks. There were a lot of questions about the accessibility. I think you definitely covered that. Goodness, it's hard to pick a question because we have so many good ones here.
Jennifer, I saw some questions where people were just kind of like, how do we learn more? And we've been linking the user guide for anyone who asked that like directly in the Q&A, but I just wanted to remind you that if you registered for this webinar, you're going to get a follow-up email from us, and we'll be sure to include information like that that can help you if you're a DesignPLUS customer, giving you, those little resources that you need to get started right away using the tool.
Yeah, great. We had several feature requests, which we love. People are already thinking about what more we can do. So I would encourage everyone to submit those feature requests through support. As Stephanie said, we welcome all feedback. And in fact, I think we thrive on it. So I appreciate that as well. Yeah, it's just looking quickly back through the questions to see if there's anything else we can highlight. We talked about the mobile app. And yeah, someone asked, where can you embed these interactive elements? And the answer to that is anywhere in Canvas that you can use the rich content editor. Anywhere that you can kind of add content through Canvas editor, the DesignPLUS sidebar pops up and you can add it. So hopefully we answered most of your questions in chat. And as always, if there's something really important we didn't get to, you can contact us through support. And we really appreciate all the feedback on this format. And thank you to Stephanie and Natalie for another great webinar. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
all.
y'all. Thanks for coming through.